Mystery of Life. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jonny.
And today we're asking, what happened to the Ourang Medan? And here I get to talk about the sea again.
Oh, God. What is the orangutan or whatever it was?
Ourang Medan, and it's a boat. And I came across this when I was researching the Mary Celeste, which was a boat found with no crew, an episode that we did quite a few weeks ago. And I've been wanting to talk about this ever since. So, Ourang Medan. We are June 1947. And the SS Ourang Medan is sailing through the Strait of Malacca. And the strait is a narrow stretch of water, about 580 miles long and 24 miles across at its thinnest point. And this is what they're calling narrow. I seriously have such a hard time dealing with the size of the sea. How can 24 miles be narrow?
Because there's much wider.
But that's insane. We need a different grading system.
No, you just need to change your scaling system.
I just think that's quite big. 580 by 24 miles at its thinnest point. So it has wider points than that.
Yeah.
But it's still narrow.
Yeah, because big old ships need quite a lot of space. And
well, apparently so. There are some pictures as well, which I'll put on the blog. And there's just loads of ships. It's insane. It's really busy.
Well, yeah, because these straits are usually cut throughs from one sea to another and stuff.
Sort of. It's between the Malay Peninsula and the Indonesian island of Sumatra, and it was and still is an important trade route. It's used as a shipping lane, and it's super busy, and it's particularly used by long boats.
I imagine there's a route that other boats can take, but long boats boats that are long. Say long boats. I think Vikings.
Oh no, I mean boats that are.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Longer than others.
I think it's because it's there'll be some route that little boats can go, but long boats won't be able to turn and fit in it. And
yeah, so I fell down a bit of a hole here because honestly, I could probably just talk for the rest of the episode about this particular stretch of water.
We're not going to do that.
I won't, but I will link a couple of interesting reads in the sources in case anyone is interested. So now, I will say as well that even in the early 2000s, that particular strait had a pirate problem. So honestly, it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Shipping lanes do still have pirate problems.
Anyway, so the SS Ourang Medan, it was a Dutch vessel, and honestly, it's not clear what it was doing all the way out in the Malacca Strait. Well, it's part of it's part of the story that just doesn't appear. Bear with me because this is a weirder mystery than normal. Okay, so it's sailing. All right, it's doing boat stuff. And there are some boats nearby. There's American vessels, City of Baltimore and the Silver Star. And nearby boats receive an urgent distress call from the Ourang Medan. And the radio operator is said to have been terrified. He says, all officers, including captain, dead, lying in chart room and on bridge. Probably whole crew dead. And then there's this bit of Morse code that no one's been able to figure out. And then he says, I die. So what are your thoughts so far? Do you know what's coming? Do you know this story?
No, not at all.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
My thoughts so far, I don't really have any.
Okay, so several vessels did respond to this distress call, and the Silver Star was one of the American ships, got there first. The captain of the Silver Star assessed the situation and saw no signs of life. He was looking at it from his deck. Couldn't see anyone moving. He decides to put together a boarding party that could go across and, see what's what.
Was the boat moving?
No.
Okay.
Apparently it was. Now, there's a lot of discrepancy about exactly where it was, but they reckon it was about 50 miles away from where it said it was when the distress call. Even though the Silver Star was nearby, it was still a few hours away.
Yeah.
It was nearby in boat world. So.
Yeah, boats are quite slow.
Yeah. And remember, we are in 1947. I don't know how much technology we've gained in boats, to be honest. Probably not that much.
Slightly faster, but I don't think it's.
So,
there are boats that are super quick, but you won't want to ride them anywhere.
Well, these are freight boats. Let's be clear. We're all talking boats that are carrying cargo.
I think we've improved them how much they can carry more than their speed.
Right.
They may even be slower because of how much they carry, but we weren't really concerned about speed. It was more.
Okay, well, both of these boats are freight boats. They're carrying crews obviously to operate the boat, but they're not a cruise. So.
No, it's not thousands of people on board.
No. But when they get on the Ourang Medan, so the boarding party's gone across, it's clear that they're too late because the entire crew is dead. Now, apparently there's bodies strewn all over the ship, and it was quite clear that something horrible had happened. Supposedly, the faces of the crew showed sort of bared teeth, their eyes were bulging, they had open mouths they looked like they might have been screaming, and terrified looks on their faces. But what was weird was that the bodies didn't show any physical injury. Right. And also, very sad, the ship's dog was also deceased. Supposedly with teeth growling.
I don't buy that. I think that there's a lot of poetry in this. There's no way. This is not how humans die.
So what part of this are you not believing? The fact that everybody was dead? Or
Oh,
the
no, I
fact
believe
that...
the fact that everyone's dead, but I think they're over-dramatised the findings. Unless they were somehow in some sort of Pompeii-like incident where they're frozen in time.
That's sort of how it was made to sound. It wasn't a Pompeii-like incident, let me be clear. But
I just don't buy it, like, because when you die, you do stuff. It's not like you just freeze into your face just freezes where you are when you die.
Well, that's kind of what it was made to sound. So,
Yeah,
okay, but I mean,
bullshit.
even if you don't believe that, so everyone's dead. And some reports say that the deceased were decaying sooner than expected. But I actually sort of take issue with that because it was hot. And
out in the sun, you don't know how long they've been dead for.
Yeah, that's the thing. It still took them a few hours to get there. And what we don't know is when the guy sent the message, had everyone already been dead for a few hours? Or was that when, just because that's when he died. And he was found, by the way, like headphones on, strewn in the wireless room, like over the desk, probably sending his last message when he said, I die.
Really bad final words. I die.
I mean, it's correct.
Yeah, well, yeah. Not going to go down in history as one of the great death speeches, though, is it?
No, but it was quite chilling, though, isn't it? To be like, you've heard that message and then all of a sudden, I die. And then you walk onto this. Like, I think that it might not be like, famous last words in that sense, but it's definitely like chilling. I think he's made an impact.
Well, yeah, but there's still a lot of explanations for this that are completely rational.
Okay, so the boarding party told the captain and they decided to tow it back to the nearest port to try and investigate, see what was going on. I will also say as well that there was no sign of the lifeboat. So while they are sorting this out, honestly, I don't know how long it takes to arrange towing a boat. I can't imagine it's like towing a car. I can't imagine you just hook on a thing and off you go.
Yeah,
I
use a
imagine
big-ass rope.
Yeah, but these are two very big ships, so I imagine it's not like a 5-minute job.
No, but sailors are very good at knots.
Well, anyway, whilst they're getting on with knotting up some rope, a fire breaks out in cargo hold 4. And apparently it spreads very fast and the boarding crew barely make it off the ship and like cut the other ship free before the ship explodes. And apparently the explosion was so massive, it kind of jumped out of the water and then sank in and the ship sank. And whatever evidence have happened on that ship sank with it.
It didn't jump out of the water.
Well, that might have been a bit of exaggeration perhaps because obviously explosions are scary. But either way.
And not to mention, right, let's not forget that sailors are one of the most superstitious group of people that exist in the modern world. They are all about the superstitions.
I don't think they superstitioned the boat explodes.
No, but their mindset is quite open to the spiritual and everything else because of that.
I guarantee wherever it is you think I'm going with this, I'm not.
All right.
This is. I don't even know how you're going to react to what I say next.
Okay, because I thought this was going down a demon route or something.
Well, I mean, they come up, but so the ship sank, right? And before we can really look at what might have happened, I'm going to have to admit to you now the most puzzling part of this entire mystery, and then we can dissect it from there. And there is quite a lot to dissect.
Okay, what's the most puzzling part?
That the ship might never have existed at all.
No, it did exist.
Well, some people think that it might be like, well, there's a few options which we'll go through, but it could be that it's just an urban legend made up to scare sailors, like rookie sailors.
Like I said, superstitious group of people.
Yeah.
Okay, well but that's not a boat not existing. Like for that would be they witnessed it and then went back and the boat wasn't there. That's what not existing is. Telling a story isn't the same, isn't spooky that it doesn't exist.
Okay, well, let's see what you think when we get through this. So, it kind of felt to everyone that after a while, people stopped talking about the Ourang Medan, unlike other ships with similar issues, because obviously there's been a number of ghost ships in the past, or boats that had disappeared or couldn't be explained.
Who are these people?
Such as media and researchers.
When's the last time? Like, yeah, because we move on from news stories.
No, but we don't, because there's a lot of boats that have less...
Name 3.
The Mary Celeste,
Okay.
the USS Cyclops, and there's some other boat that we've not done yet.
Right, okay. Ghost ship.
This is a ghost ship.
No, it's not.
They're
dead.
Yeah, and that's the definition of a ghost ship, when no one is alive on the boat. I Googled it because I knew you'd argue me on this.
All right, okay. The commonly accepted ghost ship is it's sailing by itself without anyone on board.
Well, it was sailing by itself because everyone on board was dead.
They're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no ghost ship.
Well, whatever. It's got a more interesting story than these other two.
No, it doesn't.
And no one's talking about it.
It had an accident. It sounds a lot like whatever cargo they had was A, toxic, can be flammable,
But
and some of it leaked.
There's records of Mary Celeste and USS Cyclops for years, and there's not for this. It's like everyone's just stopped talking about it. And there were reports of it in the media.
Now you're over dramatising it.
I don't know that I am. You haven't heard the whole thing
Yeah,
yet.
it's a great conspiracy to not talk about this boat.
So there were reports of it in the media at the time. Dutch Indonesian newspaper De Locomotief covered it. Dutch newspaper Elsevier's Weekly covered it when it happened and again a little while later. And there was a couple outside of Dutch media and Indonesian media, the Albany Times in New York, and also British papers, Daily Mirror and Yorkshire Post covered it.
Just a side point, do you know how many shipping accidents there are that you never hear about?
But wait, so in 1852 it was covered in an issue of the Proceedings of the Merchant Marine Council, which is published by the United States Coast Guard. And then there was a small article in the San Francisco Chronicle and Atlanta Constitution. But the ones that did cover it, it might be worth noting that the exact date seems to change. We're anywhere from 1940 to 1948.
You just said 18.
No, 19.
You just said 18. In the last date you gave was 18.
Oh, yeah, I did. I meant 1952. Sorry. In 1952, it was covered in an issue of Proceedings by the Merchant Marine Council, which is published by the United States Coast Guard.
Right.
But all of the places that are reporting it varies. The incident varies having happened between 1940 and 1948. But after this, it's not really mentioned again. And a lot of people think that it might have been a deliberate attempt to cover up what happened or erase the Ourang Medan from history.
Oh, fuck off.
I'm surprised, actually, that you're not more just like, yeah, it was a made-up story, let's all move on.
Well, that was what my fuck off was. Like, all this conspiracy theory about, like, oh, they're trying to hide something. No, they're not. The government are terrible at hiding things. Get the idea out of your head that somehow the government can keep a secret. Politicians take confidential documents home. Politicians leave laptops on trains. They do not keep secrets extremely well. This isn't some conspiracy. This is a story that's been told and retold again, and people have got the dates wrong.
Well, I thought that, but I really thought you'd just go with like, yes, an urban legend, it never happened. But some think it was a journalist made it up on a slow news day.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that they just make stuff up out of nothing. Like, they don't invent an entire boat.
Well, has anyone ever seen any paperwork for this boat? Did anyone see a manifest for this boat?
No.
Anyone, as a witness, ever gave a statement about this boat?
Yeah, one, but not about the boat, about a survivor, which I'm going to come to in a second. But let me tell you that the Dutch shipping merchants never had a listing for a vessel called the Ourang Medan. Lloyd's Register never had. Now, I don't know if we've mentioned the Lloyd's Register before. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's literally a register for maritime stuff dating back to 1760. It literally records like the size of the boat. They grade the boat. They set all the regulations. And like, if you have a boat, it's on this register. It's like super important. And that started in 1760.
I imagine it's ship, not boat, because I don't think every twat...
It's vessel.
Like, it can't be every guy that's got a boat down at a marina.
No, but even then, the marina's meant to log that. Do you know what I mean? That's like little tiny
all right,
speedboat.
so it
but
is
like,
ship.
Yeah, I guess ship. Haven't we had this argument before? The difference between a boat and a ship.
Well, you can be technical about it, but everyone, like, if you say boat, everyone thinks of dinghy. If you say ship, everyone thinks of a big boat.
But if you're moving stuff around in the sea, you're supposed to be on this list. And apparently, it is very good and very well respected.
Right.
And it was supposed to like help everyone, but they had no record of this boat.
Did any other boats go missing at this time?
No.
Okay. So, because my thought would be piracy, that someone's stolen this boat and just spray painted a different name to hide it, because boats do that.
No, there's been a lot of research into this boat, and
Well,
no one
there's
can
a
find
story
any
then,
record
isn't
of
it? It's simple.
So the Maritime Authority in Singapore didn't have a record of it, which is where it left from, the port. And now the Silver Star, that was the ship that went to help. Now that did exist, but according to Lloyd's Register, in 1947 it was sailing under a different name, the Santa Cecilia.
So far you've brought me an old wives' tale.
See, I thought you'd turn this way.
I've been this way pretty early. I don't in any way believe there's anything spooky or mysterious about this.
I don't know about spooky. I would say more like conspiracy.
I don't think there is. There's no grounds for it. What does it achieve?
Well, apparently over the years, researchers have tried to get information on the Silver Star, because that was owned by Grace Lines in New York, and that they still would have had records of it. That's still a company that exists, and they've always been met with silence. They just won't respond either way. Like, it's not a yes or a no. They just won't give out
They're
any
a fucking
information.
shipping company. They've got fucking shit to do. They haven't got time for every arsehole that rings in. Imagine you're at work and someone rings in and goes, "Oh, I heard a superstition about this." Blah blah. You'd be like, "Oh, fuck off."
I don't know. I might be a bit interested.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, the second 100th call you've taken on this, I'll just piss off.
Well, in 1959, the CIA showed an interest, and the Coast Guard published an article.
How do we know the CIA showed an interest?
Because there was classified letters that got declassified in 2003. There was a letter that got written in, well, more than one, but one particular letter that got written in, and they wouldn't release who wrote it, but that was like redacted when the stuff got declassified. And they basically said like they were worried about what had happened, and like, you know, are they going to look into this? Are they going to release like a statement? And the letters from the CIA back agreed that it was very interesting and that they weren't allowed to talk about it. And that all got declassified in 2003. Now, there's not a lot in it. I mean, but why would you classify it as top secret for 50 years?
Because
if it was nothing, if they were just saying, don't worry about it, nothing happened.
Top secret sounds like really major to us, but they deal with top secret all day long. Everything they do is top secret. Why does it have to be secret at all?
If they're saying it's nothing.
The CIA's job is to protect America's interest abroad. Their job is to protect America from the outside world. So this ship has gone missing. Well, there's a story of this ship going missing in a shipping lane used by a lot of American shipping.
And an American ship supposedly found it.
Yeah. So they're going to be interested. They're going to have, well, is there anything to this? But I bet that nothing comes of it and they go, okay, I'll move on.
Well, there is a fairly involved theory as to why they might have been concerned and where this conspiracy comes from and why they might have covered up the boat in the first place.
Hit me with this trash.
No, it's quite lengthy, all right? So bear with me. Because I had to make it lengthy to make sense of it myself. During the Great War in 1914 to 1928, we saw the first use of chemical weapons, and soldiers in Belgium used like mustard gas attacks were a thing, and it was like a horrible threat. So this type of weapon was then made illegal as part of the Geneva Protocol, which, by the way, why is everything done in Geneva?
I believe, I don't 100% know, but I believe it's because Switzerland are extremely neutral in everything.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a place for all people to come together safely because there's no political, like the Swiss don't care about any of your politics.
Well, chemical weapons were then made illegal as part of the Geneva Protocol. You know, not everyone follows the rules. We know Hitler didn't follow the rules. He obviously used
America
chemical
didn't
weapons.
follow the rules.
Yeah, exactly. And it was obviously we're in 1947 here, so not long after the Second World War, and we knew that Hitler had been stockpiling deadly gases right up until the end of the Second World War. So the theory here is that because there's the Indonesian island of Java and Sumatra had been Dutch colonies up until World War II. They were driven out by invading Japanese troops, and the Dutch had sort of expected to return as normal once the war was over, but the Indonesian people had like ran out the Japanese troops and decided they wanted to keep their own islands, so it's a bit of a war for independence.
Oh yeah, I mean the Dutch can fuck off in this situation.
Yeah, agreed. The Dutch were fairly outmanned, so they decided something had to be done, and
How
they were trying
bad
to
are the Dutch at war?
Yeah, well, so a lot of people thought that they might have considered a gas attack as a good solution to the problem.
No.
They couldn't fly the gas there, so they thought maybe we're going to sail it there. And it started to leak. It would explain the method of death, no major injuries, the fear. It would explain why the last crew member was able to send the message. It would explain the explosion, if there was like another drum below deck or a drum of something similar leaking and mixing with the salt water. And some people wonder if the explosion was actually a deliberate act of sabotage to like scuttle the ship to cover it up because they didn't want a Dutch ship being found to be against the Geneva Protocol.
I'm not going to use a Dutch ship, that's stupid. Yeah, but they're not going to use a Dutch ship with a Dutch name and all this other stuff. Secondly, I'm led to believe that trying to dispose of chemical weapons via explosion is a terrible idea. Because all you're going to do is propel that chemical agent everywhere. Well, there's
we don't know whether it was an accident that led to the explosion or whether someone was sent there to deliberately
People would have
scuttle the
gotten
ship.
ill. It would have. More people would have gotten ill. There's no way that a leaking thing like that blows up is going to be contained by. It'd be in the water supply. It'd be fucking awful.
Maybe it was. Maybe people did get ill.
There's no record of it. We can't. Don't maybe me. Don't give me that maybe. Like
I see the theory in this though, because they were a major European power, and like it wouldn't have been a good
they're
look.
not a major European power.
Well, everyone was fighting for power after World War II.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it wouldn't have been a good
Dutch
look.
Stood a chance.
Yeah, but they were allies with America, and it wouldn't have been a good look for an American ally to be seen to be moving gas around or any other dangerous chemical.
Also, shipping that gas is the worst thing they could have done.
You have to move it somehow, don't you? You're not going to fly it.
It's one of the most regulated ways of moving things on Earth.
See, now
every time they go near a port, they're going to have customs come on board.
It's funny you should
they're going to
mention
need
that.
manifests and all this kind of stuff.
See, I disagree. I think you can move around fairly unnoticed in the sea. I do.
Not in a shipping lane. You watch that border programme.
Yeah, I do, but this is 1947 and it's a boat. I'm just pretty sure they would have been able to like make it around. Like, do you remember when we did that episode on the missing jumbo jet? And there were like aviator experts that were like, yes, it is possible to fly a plane and nobody like notice you. It is possible to move things around. I reckon that's even truer for a boat.
No, it's not.
Disagree.
No, you can have an
Disagree.
airfield fucking anywhere on Earth, but a ship has to go into a port, and ports are highly regulated and difficult without bribes to get stuff through.
Maybe they did bribe them.
Oh yeah, the Dutch is gonna. There's no evidence of this, and the CIA's investigation into this came to naught.
We don't know it came to naught. We don't know what they did after that. Maybe it is all a big cover-up. Maybe they were like, right, you need to go sort this out. The American ship, go there, fix it. No one's ever seen this boat. It doesn't exist. Scrub that off your records. You can't tell me that in 1947 you couldn't pay someone at a port to be like, cross that out. This boat never came here. Don't believe it. Absolutely believe that's possible.
It's possible, but like compared to just loading it on a plane and flying over and dropping it, that's fucking complicated.
Also, the Dutch might well have asked America for help. They could have been like, look, shit, we've got a boat in the sea. We've done it. It's full of illegal stuff.
Has anyone dived the wreck site?
Well, no, it exploded. I can't imagine anyone's looking for it. We can't find boats that we actually know where they are. We're never going to find this one. It's 5,000 miles deep, apparently.
That seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot now that I've said it, doesn't it? Maybe it was 500.
I think it's 500 because 5,000 would be like...
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
With the moon.
Yeah, maybe 500. A lot of people have said, like what you've said, it's difficult that a crew of the ship that found the boat would have been able to keep quiet. But if it was deliberate,
Then
they
also
might have sent...
Also, like, chemical weapons aren't this kind of thing you can be around for 5 minutes and be fine. There's a boarding party on that ship that survived.
Yeah, but we don't know that the boarding party ever actually went on. It could have been like, go here, throw a bomb at this boat and leave. Okay, so here's a little twist. Now, according to some research, and people have done a lot of research on this, like there's been like authors that have researched it for like 50 years and like spoken to experts and really like dedicated their life to try and find out what's happened. Don't know why. I mean, I'm interested, but I don't know if I'm that interested.
A minute ago, you were complaining that no one took this seriously and it wasn't in the news very much, and now you're trashing on anyone that's actually tried.
I'm not complaining about that at all. I'm just saying, like, 50 years seems like a long time.
Also, it made it to the newspapers. What a fucking good job they did.
Yeah, but not in any, like,
no, if they did
scale.
want something to be quiet, it would be that quiet. They're not going to have it, like, in some newspapers. Like, the CIA do, like, dark stuff all the fucking time.
Yeah, but maybe it was a bit late for those ones. Like, how are they supposed to go back and delete printed news?
Why would they blow it up in front of people?
Well, they probably didn't blow it up in front of anyone.
Then how is it like? How has this story got out if there's no witnesses? So now you're
there
saying
is a witness who I'm about to tell you
the
about.
only thing that could have happened, like then you're saying the CIA planted the story in the news. And that's stupid because it didn't need to be in the news.
I haven't really thought about that. But I have got one guy, right?
Right, one guy, yeah, cool.
So on July 12th, 1947, a lifeboat washes up on an island that's part of the Marshall Islands, which geographically is not all that far from where we were. Now, there are 7 people on the boat. 6 of them are dead. The survivor says he was the last surviving person, the second officer from the Ourang Medan. Some reports say he was a German citizen, but that's like not clear. And also his name, which you're going to take issue with, but I don't think is fair because, this could be someone's name. Jerry Rabbit. But it could be someone's name.
Right, okay, I hear the name Jerry Rabbit.
Yeah.
I don't immediately jump to German origin.
No, I know, yeah, so that part I'm not sure about. But I think we can believe that there is people called Jerry Rabbit.
Well, we got bought over from Mickey Squirrel, so...
Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly. So, right, there we go. Now, he said that he was one of the... that he noticed that one of the stokers had fallen ill. I had to Google the stokers that work in the engine room as part of the crew, moving coal about.
They stoke the fire.
Yeah. And... unfortunately, the stoker had died, and the captain said it was heat stroke. I guess that sort of makes sense. You're in a really hot part of the world, and you're in the coal room.
Still quite damning on the captain. Give him some fucking water, mate.
So the next few days, apparently more stokers started to feel unwell, and they started vomiting and had like bad diarrhea, and it was all just awful. And so Jerry found out, he did a little investigating on the boat, that the cargo was 150,000 boxes of sulfuric acid and cyanide and 20 canisters of nitroglycerin.
Right, all of these things are moved about legally.
Yeah. Some things are moved about legally and some things are... There's lots of things that are moved about illegally that could
How
be
did... Hang on. You're telling me, right, that the anthrax was stored in a big old box labelled anthrax.
I never said anthrax.
Oh, what did you say?
Sulfuric acid, cyanide and nitroglycerin.
Oh, sorry, cyanide. That's where I got anthrax from. So you're telling me there was a big old crate of cyanide with big old label on it, cyanide.
No, he found it written down and then he went down and had a look and was in agreement. Apparently, he feared that something had started to leak given that everyone was now getting ill, and he asked the captain to make an emergency stop.
Okay, those
somewhere.
substances are well known. Do any of the symptoms
Were
line
they
up
that
with
well known in 1947 in terms of illegal transporting?
Doesn't matter. My point is that we know what the effects of those substances on a human body.
Yeah.
Do those effects line up with the witness statement? The diarrhea.
Yes.
Do they?
Yes. When the gas people got gassed in Belgium in the war, their first symptoms were vomiting and diarrhea.
Yeah, and then immediate death.
Well, not immediate, soon and horrible death, yeah.
Well, it wasn't like they walked around for 2 days then died.
If like a little bit just came out.
You don't understand how little of this stuff you need to kill someone.
Okay, well, anyway, so he thought, like, the captain's not going to do anything about this, and Jerry and 6 of the crew got on the lifeboat and fled. Now, they didn't have a lot of supplies, and they didn't really know where they were going.
What do you mean the
6 of them
captain's
died.
not going to do anything about this?
No, he said no. He wasn't concerned. He thinks the guy died of heat stroke.
He's not going to get to the point where 30 people are dead. He's
There's
like,
not 30 people are not dead, are they, at this point? Only
no,
one person
but
is dead.
the captain is dead on the boat.
Captain's not dead yet. Jerry's speaking to the captain, and the captain's like, no, we're not stopping.
When we find the boat, the captain is dead.
Right, yeah.
So that means he ignored all of his crew dying.
Also,
before
he might
going,
not have been in a
I
position.
think we might have an issue here.
He might not have been in a position to stop.
No, because some twat stole his lifeboat.
Well, you wouldn't have. I don't think we would have got all of them on the life. Anyway, they didn't take a lot of supplies of them, so 6 of them died, and Jerry died a few days later because his injuries could not be overcome. But
Injuries? How do you get injured in a
No,
lifeboat?
but you know, like he'd been out in the heat and like he was exhausted and he was dehydrated and like they tried to make him better, but he wasn't, and he died of exhaustion a few days later.
I don't think you can do that. I think once you start getting food, water, and stuff into you, those symptoms can.
I disagree. This is 1947. Like,
no, because the treatment for all of those things is food and water.
I don't know. He might
Food,
have been old.
water, and warmth.
He could have been old. We don't know how old he was.
Well,
he could have had some other illness.
It could be made up, and his death is convenient. And
Well,
I've got a
everything
gravestone
could-
for this guy.
Anyway, so he said that the boat had left a port in Shanghai where he was asked to crew a ship, but he wasn't asked for any papers, and he thought it was all a bit like below board, and he wanted the money, so he said yes. It was supposedly headed to the coast of Costa Rica. Now, that is one thing that does concern me, because I don't understand how that would fit in with any of this theory. What's it doing in Costa Rica? As far as I'm concerned, the Dutch didn't have any beef with Costa Rica. I think.
Well, I mean, they could have been lied to about its location.
Yeah. So another researcher decided this actually proved like that it was less likely to be real, because there was a person looking after poor old Jerry, you know, before he died. He got off the boat, and this person was called Silvio Shirelli, and Silvio was the source, the witness. So he told this story in an article in 1940, and then a very slightly different article in 1947. So people think, well, he can't possibly have been the source for both, and why did he get the story slightly wrong? I disagree with that, because I think if you're being asked to retell the story, maybe it did happen in 1940, maybe they were confused, and if you're being asked to retell it again, you've slightly changed you've slightly misremembered. I think that disproves it. Just what was said in the message. So it was about, they still said that everyone was dying, but he asked if there was any ships nearby with like a certain type of wireless.
How would the sole survivor who left prior to the call know any details about that fucking call? He left before this was an emergency.
I mean, you do make a good point on the whole, really.
I always make a good
that no
point.
one's really considered, because Silvio aside,
It's an old wives' tale.
Jerry wouldn't have known.
No.
What had happened after he left.
No, neither of them can tell you.
Especially the fire. The only people that can really talk about the fire are the people that were on the Silver Star.
Or whoever made up this story.
Which that I can believe, because if they were supposed to keep it a secret and they just didn't quite keep it a secret, I can believe that.
Yeah. At what point, when something is completely covered in bullshit, do you think, maybe that's bullshit? If all you can see is bullshit, why are you trying to find the nugget of gold underneath it?
I don't know, really. It's just bizarre.
It's only bizarre. It's only bizarre if you think that it's true. If it's,
I just don't think people make up boats.
Sailors make up stories and superstitions.
Yeah, about sea monsters and
ghost ships.
Yeah, but this.
Old wives' tale, rumours.
I don't know. It was in the news too many times for me. I just don't think you make it.
At the beginning, this was not in the news enough, and now it's in the news too many times.
Yeah, but people think that the fact that it's only in the news those handful of times means that it's been people have been don't talk about this shit. Stop.
And people have done the same with Roswell, and that really worked.
Well, it didn't work, did it? Because we're still talking about it now.
No, that's my point exactly. And what frustrates me about these conspiracy theories, I'm all for a conspiracy theory, don't get me wrong. There are real conspiracies in this world that people are completely unaware of. Diabolical things that governments are doing that people are completely unaware. We don't need to make up this bullshit.
I don't know that we are making it up, though.
Look up Iran-Contra. That is a conspiracy theory. That is a legitimate conspiracy theory, and it was proven right. Look at the things the government actually do, not these made-up things. And also, at most, the government involvement would be misdirection.
Not if they blew up a ship.
No, but if they were doing something else in that shipping lane, they'd make up a story.
I don't know. I mean, some people just say that they might have been transporting a dangerous cargo that wasn't necessarily to be used as a weapon.
No,
that
of
they
course.
shouldn't. They were doing it like up under the table, as it were, to make some money, a bit like piratey type stuff. And still, that it might not have even been the ones that Jerry said it was. It could have been something else that was
like
dangerous.
Jerry. I really don't like Jerry. Jerry can fuck off.
Okay, what have you got against Jerry? He's our only witness.
No, he's not. Because Jerry apparently witnessed things he couldn't possibly witness, so he's a liar at best and made up.
Jerry never said that. Silvio said that.
Well,
and he might be a bit of a question mark. Jerry said why he got off the boat and what he found on the boat.
how do we know what Jerry said?
Well, Silvio's.
Do you see the problem here?
Yeah. But then I don't think that the whole story will have came from Silvio. Because
No, but if someone laid out this story and someone was bored, wanted a bit of fame, wanted a bit of attention, I found the sole survivor. He's dead now. I'm not showing you the body. There's no record of his death. There's no record of his life. But I found him and he said this. People are nuts and make up shit.
Or did someone get off the Silver Star, go to the media,
No.
leak it?
No. Because the threats that government make when they actually do this stuff aren't you'll get a slap on the wrist. It's we'll kill you and your family if you open your mouth, so shut up.
Well, there were other theories too about like other types of government cover-up, such as an American convict ship that was destroyed on purpose.
Cool. Evidence. Don't give me it was 1937.
It was.
Yeah, it was. But if a ship blows up in a shipping lane, you better believe someone's fucking investigating it. And an explosion big enough to lift a ship out of the sea full of cargo is going to be noticed by someone.
Not necessarily.
Yes, necessarily.
If it's 24 miles long and 580 miles wide, and let's say it's a quiet day.
That'd be one hell of an explosion.
Yeah, but you could theoretically have 5 miles radius around you with no one around.
What did you say about this video?
Yes, that one part of it had a picture of lots of ships.
Oh yeah, and there's going to be none on the rest of it.
I'm just saying it's possible that you could be alone at sea. Plus, it took like 5 hours or something for the Silver Star to get there, so they were obviously like not close.
Sound travels a lot further, and when it's a very loud sound and a boat goes down, there would be an like someone would have noticed a fucking ship exploding. Someone would have. I'm not like.
Someone did, and they reported it to the media, and then the media got shut down by the CIA. Okay, well there were other theories about what might have happened.
What did the Malaysian government say about this?
Nothing. Boat doesn't exist.
Right, boat doesn't exist.
Well, they didn't say the boat doesn't exist. They just had nothing to say. There's nothing to comment on.
No.
Also, it's not a Malaysian boat. I don't know why Malaysia would even need to be involved.
It's in their waters.
Lots of boats are in their waters.
Yeah, not all of them explode.
Some people have suggested pirates.
No.
But I think that's a problem because, first of all, you got the message and you'd think that pirates would physically injure people.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it would explain why there was people to tell the tale and if they, like, had taken the stuff on the boat and then, like, blown it up or set fire to it. But I don't really think pirates is the thing here. Obviously, sea monster comes up and I believe that is more of an urban legend. I believe that is the kind of tale that sailors would tell each other and tell rookie sailors.
No, but if I was a captain of a ship and I wanted a lesson about not touching my fucking cargo, you little scrot. This is the kind of story I would tell.
Maybe.
Just because you want it to be a conspiracy and all these people want it to be a conspiracy.
Well, I have been led a bit down the garden path.
Yeah,
here.
I know you have. And the thing is, they're not presenting any evidence of any of this. Even.
All right, well, what about a UFO encounter? We've just done an episode on UFOs. We know they're coming back. We know they're headed to Earth. Our alien overlords are coming back in 2035. What if there was a researcher, actually not what if, there was a researcher in 1955, Maurice Jessup, who researched this and came up with a theory that they might have had a UFO or otherworldly experience and that he even claimed that some of them had died like pointing. And with the looks of fear on their face. Maybe they'd all just like literally been scared to death. Now, what happened to the boat? Who knows? Maybe the aliens blew it up. Maybe the CIA did cover it up.
Rigor mortis doesn't set in instantly.
Well, maybe it does if you've got like an alien
No, if you're standing
laser.
Up, if you're standing up and die, you're not going to be standing up.
Oh no, they were laying down and pointing.
That implies they were laying down when they died.
Well, maybe they were standing, got like frozen into position, and then like gravity
No,
took them down.
because gravity would pull their arm down. You go floppy when you die. You don't go rigid until a few hours afterwards.
Well, Morris thinks that
I don't give a shit what Morris thinks.
Morris has been looking into this for a lot longer than I have.
Good.
Morris wrote a book.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what about the paranormal? I mean, apparently, even though it was on a warm evening, the boarding crew felt a chill on that boat.
The sea is quite windy. Also, how do we know what the people felt on that fucking boat? They're all dead. Even Roswell has some form of evidence towards it, to the claim. There's nothing here. There's nothing.
You're not alone in this. A lot of people do think it was an urban legend.
Yeah, it's just a
But
story.
no, I disagree. Because there are just too many articles, even though there's only a handful. And it is entirely possible that this happened. This isn't like, this isn't a bold claim like when I start talking about demons and things that have never been proven.
Do you know, like, that's how media propagates, though. One guy does a story that's made up, and the next guy picks it up, and the next guy picks it up, but slowly people lose interest. And this didn't spread enough to be spread on purpose.
I just think there's a lot of confusion about like record, and record keeping and stuff like that. And a lot of people mainly cite the fact that it's not listed in the Lloyd's Register. But I don't buy that. I entirely believe you could get a ship on the water without it being in the Lloyd's Register and move it about. You can't tell me that every single thing ran through them. Maybe today it's better because you've got like the internet and technology or whatever, but I easily believe you could A, bribe them, or B, stay off their radar entirely in 1947. 100%.
Yeah, you could. What's your evidence for this?
The story. The fact that there was a boat and it could have kept up. The fact that everyone's just saying, oh, it didn't exist because it wasn't on the Lloyd's Register.
No, it didn't exist because there's zero evidence of its existence. There's zero evidence.
I just don't know why it would even be. The Coast Guard wrote an article on it. Why? Why would he get involved if it was a ship that never existed?
They got told a story. Like, news media get it wrong all the time. Media make up shit all the time. You think they were any better in 1947 when they didn't have the internet to research stuff? It was all word of mouth.
Do you really not think there's any chance that this is all some sort of government cover-up? You really just don't think that that's even a possibility?
No, it's too petty.
Petty? We're talking chemical weapons. I wouldn't say that's petty. So that's pretty fucking serious.
If the Dutch were doing this, America wouldn't cover up for them. They'd let the Dutch take the fall for it. And when, like, no one goes, oh, America and the Netherlands, that famous partnership.
No, I suppose not. Or maybe they don't have a famous partnership because they're pissed off how to deal with this.
No, because the Americans have their own problems to deal with when it comes to the use of chemical weapons. This is another, again, there was a literal instance of the government testing chemical warfare on US citizens, and we're talking about some fucking boat that didn't exist.
I really think it might not have existed. I just can't believe that people
I don't think it might not have existed.
I just can't believe this is completely made up. I can't. I'm not saying that every single detail is exactly spot on, because they never are. Because, they just never are.
People are very good at writing stories. Have you
no.
you read books, don't you?
Yes, extensively, and that's why I believe that I'm intelligent enough to think that this could be possible. I just don't believe they make up boats entirely. I don't. Just don't believe I'm bored, I'm going to make up a boat. Let's tell this story, Jim. No.
No.
Just don't
a sailor could have made up that story and a news reporter heard it and then reported on it. And then another news reporter read that article and went, that's a good story. I'll put that in my newspaper.
I'm a bit annoyed at how much you've made me doubt this.
That's what I do.
I'm not willing to back down on demons and stuff, but like this I thought, okay, no, this is like, there's so many government conspiracies. This could definitely be one. I've got something here. And I was just like, no.
No. Like, they might cover up if the Netherlands actually committed mass murder. They were not going to cover up a boat going missing, isn't it?
It was a crew of like 20 odd people. It wasn't fine.
The CIA deal with deaths in thousands and millions. They don't give a shit about 10 people. They'd happily kill any 10 people on this earth to protect America. They'd happily kill 20. They'd happily kill 100. They'd happily kill 1 million if it meant protecting America. They're not going to be worried about the Netherlands boat.
Maybe they did. Maybe, right? They found out about this boat.
No.
Sailing around on the ocean with all these weapons.
No.
And they were like, right, go there, sort them out. And they killed them all. So there was no, this like fun little story of like a UFO encounter or whatever is what they want you to think. Okay.
We need to take the horse rule into account here.
The horse rule?
Yeah. It's a simple rule that everyone should live by.
Right.
If you hear hoofs, you think horse, not zebra.
It could well be a zebra, though.
Oh my God, you're missing the point of the saying.
No, I know.
The chances of zebras only live in one specific place of the world. It's not going to be in Croydon, is it?
I know, but I believe in the 1%. Like, I believe in the, just because probability tells me it's going to be a horse, it could be something else.
It's not going to be a unicorn, is it?
I hope one day it is.
Yeah, I hope so too. I love being wrong, but I don't feel in this instance I'm very wrong.
Okay, so what happened to the Ourang Medan?
Nothing.
Because
it was made up.
Oh, I still believe there's a chance this could be real. Let us know what you think. I will talk about it more on the blog this week at mysteryoflifepodcast.co.uk. You can find us on Instagram at the Mystery of Life Pod. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll be back next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.